5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Go Get Your Shine Box. I'm Jim, and I'm with the fellas.
And you got one angry fella. I am freaking so mad. I am going to be spitting, freaking shooting sparks tonight, boys.
Don't get mad.
I am tired of this.
Well, I wanted to just say aloha from Central New Jersey. I had to get that in there.
Well, you did. And I told you maybe we'll can that during the week and just add it.
Okay.
As a regular. And Paul, I might say you're spitting mad already. We didn't even bring up the topic yet.
That's all right. Pick your topic.
You're just out of the box that way, right?
That's right.
But anyway, we...
Who used to tell us that only animals get mad?
That's the first time I heard that one.
All right, well, okay, well, go ahead. Take it away, Jimmy.
Is there a difference between mad and angry? Maybe that's it.
Yeah, maybe.
I think mad's when you foam at the mouth. Yeah. But anyway, so and if you really want to get mad, if you have two extra IQ points to rub together, we're going to talk about this. It's going to be hard to say. The January 6th Unselect Committee wrap up, okay, and the Trump charges that there ensued, which is pretty much a joke considering the whole thing was a kangaroo court. But apparently you can't get people on the left to believe that. They think it was an official hearing. In fact, some of the local news up in another unmentioned state was actually coming out saying that Trump had already been convicted of 4 counts.
Really?
This is how premature the news was spitting stuff out. Well, I don't think the average audio broadcast or video broadcast genius is very bright. So they probably saw charges and they equate that to, you name it.
Well, Democrats have never been blessed with an overabundance of intellect. As a matter of fact, I think in order to fix this country, Democrats should not be permitted to vote for at least a full generation. That's how long it would take to unfornicate everything that they've destroyed.
Unscrew their minds or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, that being said, without going down that rabbit hole, you'd also would have to change the whole essence of the culture. Because if you still have the same propaganda and the same nonsense and the same illicit federal secret agencies prying into every nook and cranny of our lives, you're just going to pump out another. Because, statistically, the people that lean left are susceptible. We talked about this before. They're susceptible. We ought to do a whole show on that, just so somebody can't say, "Well, you're just spitting stuff out. How come you don't cite anything?" Well, I'm not a college professor, so I don't have to cite shit. But this is an opinion, Joe.
That's right. In my opinion, counts. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with the American people. I gave them more credit than they deserve because these people are stupid. It amazes me.
Well, I mean, again, we're leading up to what we're going to talk about, but just pick Pennsylvania, for example. And it's like anything else. They put Fetterman in, who makes Joe Biden look like not a mummy. But that being said, it wasn't the majority of the state that did it. It was the electorate that had the power in the Philadelphia area, the Harrisburg area, like we talked about, the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
But you could do a man on the street right now. You couldn't find 2 people that voted for the man. So,
Act Blue put him in.
Yeah, that's how does that get changed so it's fair? I don't understand that.
Well, you see, your corrupt people have to have more money than their corrupt people.
Yeah.
Apparently, how you change it is you open the border and then you ship an array, multifaceted array of nationalities all over the country, and to different places that like Hazleton, Pennsylvania, where you need a boost of mulattoes to get the entire freaking county changed to another color. And I'm not talking about black or white. I'm talking about blue or red. That's exactly what they do. And if anybody doesn't think Obama is up to his freaking flappy ears in this, they're wrong, because he started it.
Right.
In mass, in our face. We all know what was happening behind our backs. Well, not we don't all know, but some of us do. So
yeah, he was at least recently the originator of the death of this country. We were called racists for years and years and years, with the express purpose of putting that piece of shit, effectively, or another like him.
Yeah, he was, they pulled Hillary out, put him in. They're both trained Marxists. I'm sure they had familiar backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I don't trust anybody who has a community organizer on their resume.
Yeah.
But anyway, so these are the referrals, and we can talk. I'll read through them. We could talk about each of them afterwards. These are the referrals to the Department of Justice from the kangaroo court known as the January 6th.
Let me
committee.
just remind our audience that the kangaroo court, this House committee, the Democrats hired a Hollywood producer to produce this as a show, as a reality TV show or entertainment, whatever you want to call it. They hired a Hollywood producer to do it. So if you needed any other evidence than that it's all a joke, then you're lost.
Yeah, other than the legal implications. Yeah. I mean, and like you said, that's a pretty simple litmus test. Hollywood producer, multiple shows on prime time on TV. So
can we actually call it a court? I mean, it's not even a court, right? So why are they calling it a court?
Because there's certain people who believe
air
it.
of legitimacy to stupid people. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not even a kangaroo court, because it's not a court.
Well,
it's just a self-appointed committee that has no power to really do anything.
It's funny because you always hear the lamestream media say it's a bipartisan panel because Liz Cheney and the crying, what's his name, Kinzinger is on there. That's bipartisan. Two overt Trump haters who, by the way, have come to the end of their political careers, for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, Pelosi wouldn't allow any real Republicans on there, so I guess McCarthy withdrew all of them. And then Nancy, went and made a deal with whoever hated Trump the most, if they had an R next to their name.
And McCarthy's objective was to delegitimize it. That's what because he still has this feeling that you can compromise with these people.
Yeah.
Which is a big mistake.
Yeah.
But anyway, the referrals were for obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy to make false statement, and incite, assist, or aid or comfort an insurrection. And Trump's legal team obviously is looking at the First Amendment to defend this. So, I mean, if you want to take those one by one.
Well, I'm pretty sure that last thing he said to the insurrection crowd was to go in peace. Peaceful protest.
Yeah, well, those were his last tweets.
That must have been code for tear the place down. I don't know.
No, but that's also one of the reasons that they had to close his account down, so people that would disappear that evidence. So we went from January of 2021 until December of 2022 with that whole period of this ridiculous committee saying whatever they wanted, and nobody knowing that Trump had said no violence, the police are our friends, go home with love in your hearts, and blah blah blah. All disappeared.
Yeah, which in if you wanted to call this a court hearing, then you could call that obstruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tampering with evidence and omitting exculpatory evidence and a litany of other legal terms.
Well, and like I was telling you before, it has come out that the FBI paid Twitter millions of dollars so they can get, so they can get in, infiltrate Twitter and suppress our free speech and suppress anything that they don't want, that doesn't fit their narrative and they don't want to get out.
Yeah, and it's free too because
That's
it's not their money.
Our taxpayer money. My hard-earned money was given to Twitter to suppress me. Yeah, that pisses me off a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's not as simple as suppression either. It's forwarding an agenda.
Absolutely.
Because the FBI was saying, like, hey, listen, this is what really needs to be out there, right? You understand, right? They got to be a little bit careful about what they say, but they were nudging these people in the direction of creating the narrative for the intel community.
So basically what you're saying is that the FBI was working for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, and
the FBI represents the Democratic Party in this country.
And the second that they went to Twitter with false information, knowing it was false, and presented it as facts, they broke the law. That was it. That was it. They broke the law, the number one law.
And yet they've got the Hunter Biden laptop, which is proven to be 100% accurate.
Well, that was it. That was the first part. That was the first. That was the very. I believe that was the first instance. They was already proven, and they presented it, and then
Well,
anyway,
not just that. They had it.
Yeah,
they had the laptop for a year before they went out and started telling Facebook and Twitter that, oh, we think you're going to get some disinfo about Hunter Biden. They lied straight up to change the course of American electoral history.
Yeah, that's bigger than Watergate.
So basically, the FBI wants to prosecute. The FBI wants to prosecute anybody that doesn't fit their narrative, and all laws that are broken by the Democrats, they want to ignore and bury them. That's a fact.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway,
as long as we got that straight.
Obstruction of an official proceeding. So, which is, that's the first one, which is kind of ironic because what we were just talking about could easily be overlaid on this. And of course, normal Alinsky tactics, whatever you're doing, accuse others of doing. Obstruction of an official proceeding after the FBI paid millions. The second one was conspiracy, and I don't understand this one. Conspiracy to defraud the U.S. And this sounds like something Nancy Pelosi pulled out of her old hag bag. Well, what does that even mean? Anybody?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Bueller?
The obstruction, I understand. That's the trying to stop the count while we figured out what was going on.
Which, by the way, is constitutional.
Right. Yes. This part I don't quite understand, but.
And if you think this one's hard to understand, what about the next one? So we can come back, but the third one would be conspiracy to make a false statement. Now, let me just clarify that. This is essentially the representation of the Democratic Congress telling somebody, wanting to charge somebody through the DOJ for making false statements. This is the ironic statement of the century.
Yeah, I don't know what the context is here.
What's the false statement?
Is it that the election was stolen? Is that what they're considering?
It doesn't matter. In and of itself, the charge was or is referred as conspiracy to make a false statement.
Right.
So I can't think of that. I can't, even in a twisted mind, which I don't have, make that into something that is even remotely legal, because basically what you're saying is you conspired to lie. This is why I'm calling it the ironic statement of the century, because that's all they freaking do is lie.
You conspired to lie. So you didn't actually lie. You just conspired to lie?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, conspired to lie means he talked to his attorney about it.
Yeah, it could. Now, in pure legalistic terms, if the part of that didn't say false statement, but it was conspiracy to whatever, The conspiracy is a federal, is a felony. But this is attached. This is like conspiracy to pet your dog.
Right.
In this case, conspiracy carries no weight because of the context of that small little charge. We don't know what the full page legalese is, because between all of them together, they couldn't put a coherent sentence in a line. And then finally, and this one, of course, we all understand, right? Incite, assist, or they don't know which one, aid or comfort an insurrection.
Yeah. Well,
go in peace.
Also another ironic charge, considering that all of the people that were charged or incarcerated for this incident on January 6th, not one of them was charged or convicted of insurrection yet.
Right.
It's a pretzel. It's pretzel logic.
It's like I said before, it's black magic. They whisper spells to try and make them become real in the physical world. That's these people are just satanic level evil.
Well, yeah, and if you spend 2 minutes on social media, you could see that it's effective. We had that conversation earlier. It's effective.
Yes, it is.
The one thing I don't want to give them too much credit, but I will say they do their homework. Now it's probably not theirs because they've never had an original thought, but they probably took this from some Nazi that figured out how to propagandize in the most successful way.
Crowley, maybe.
And copied it because it's pretty in-depth stuff.
Yeah, this is well, we talked about this before. They have a professional working with them, some dark wizard or something's going on.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. So with that, I think it's time. I think it's time for another special treat, and we're going to play a little clip from the one, the only, Corinne Jean-Pierre, and her take.
But wait.
And she's a spokesperson for the president of the United States. So sit back and listen to this.
Not just
34
that.
seconds.
She's lesbian, she's black, and she's a woman.
Well, so she checks 3 boxes. I don't know how many boxes there are, but she checks the 3 top ones.
Well,
you sure she's a woman?
She's got the room temperature IQ box checked off, too.
Oh, that's 4. Yeah. So, but yeah. So I'm not going to play the precursor music, but I'll just play her and just devour this for 34 seconds.
So I'll first say, and you've heard me say this many times, and the president as well, we've been very clear from the beginning that what we saw on January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And the president has been very clear. Our democracy continues and remains under threat, and we all have a part to protect it. The committee has been doing important bipartisan work to get to the truth of what happened on that very day, so we can make sure that doesn't happen again. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, she'll leave it there. They want to get to the truth with the bipartisan effort.
The truth, so it doesn't happen again. I like that. So it's the worst thing since the Civil War. We were talking about the Civil War, bone saw. They were cutting people's legs off with saws during the Civil War. Okay,
that's got nothing on this, man. I mean,
this is worse than Pearl Harbor.
Didn't you see Adam Kinzinger weeping? Weeping, I say. It brought him to tears. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Wasn't our flag like developed because of the blood on never mind this.
Well, let me put it this way.
Civil War.
If Adam Kinzinger had anything to do with the creation of this great nation, we'd still be speaking British.
Yeah, that guy is. How does that guy get into the military? He's obviously got emotional issues.
Hey, don't what was that Clinton thing?
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, he got under. That's what his squad was called. Oh, don't ask, don't tell. I'm with the 101st. Don't ask, don't tell. The guy, I think his name is really Alice, and they changed it after he got out of the service or something because it's he obviously has a soy complex.
There is something going on
yeah.
there. Yeah.
The guy's ridiculous. Yeah, Jean-Pierre with her intelligent statement.
Yeah, that's affirmative action sunk to a new level. I mean, this you got to understand. The entire world looks at this administration, and it's a clown show.
Yep.
It's a joke. They're freaking cake eaters. They're like, look at this. You got trannies and gay queer this and Rocky in the admiral suit and soldiers with freaking lipstick and high heels.
Yeah.
People, the entire fucking world is laughing at us.
But at the same time, they're actually destroying this country.
Yes.
What they're doing is destroying this country. They're tearing it down piece by piece to where, to be honest with you, I'm getting to the point where I don't know if we can come back from this.
Yeah, I don't know either.
They're ripping the hands off the moral compass, if you will, which is bad. And all this aside, other countries are laughing at us. Other countries are arming and getting ready.
Yeah.
Because we're weak and soft.
Yeah. Right.
And there's congressmen that need tissues. What congressman needs a tissue? Because he has to cry in public. This is not a man. And I'm not saying men can't cry, but you're representing your people, your country. You took an oath, and you're going to sit there and cry. And I don't mean to pick on Kinzinger so much, but the guy's a disgrace.
Yeah.
An absolute disgrace. I don't know if he's married or not, but I don't know. I can't even imagine his wife is happy with that. But
I'd be crying about the trillions of dollars that they're flushing down the toilet.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, we're talking about this. There's that little ass clown from Ukraine is occupying the Oval Office.
Oh my God! I couldn't believe when I turned the TV on tonight and saw that.
No.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
it's 7:30. He is right now making a joint freaking statement to the joint session of Congress in our freaking house.
What's he
asking
doing?
for another $45 billion.
Yeah, and armament. He wants arms. He wants tomahawks and all that crap.
Yeah. So another 45 million is all I need.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway. Back to the J6 nonsense. Yeah, and it's a good comparison to talk about the other stuff because everything we just talked about for the past couple minutes was bigger than January 6th. January 6th was a bunch of freaking morons that were having a good time, were incited by inside intel. And they swayed the crowd, and like you can always do, and they did some things they probably shouldn't have done. That doesn't mean they should be political prisoners stuck in a DC jail for over 2 years.
Yeah, I have a different view than just about everybody else. I think that we
don't have time for that. No, go ahead.
I think that was our last best chance. There should have been 10 million of us there.
They weren't even armed. There was chance. There was nothing. They weren't ready to do anything. They weren't even armed. It was a party. It was a joke.
I've been there. I was at the previous one in December or November, whenever it was. I'm saying though, that's what should have been.
Well, it should have been 100,000 armed, pissed off, freaking
millions.
I said 10 million, but 100,000 is a good start. Yeah. There should have been bloodshed that day, and either we win or we lose, but it should have been kicked off, settled, whatever you want to.
And in acceptance of your premise, Paul, I will say that the opposition saw this, and of course they're looking at it through a different prism. They saw this and they actually realized that you're probably right, and that it didn't happen. It's not going to happen. It's weak. We're weak.
Yeah.
We're fat and lazy,
Yeah.
and that's the way they want us. And that's
Well, you know what? You could say we're fat and lazy, or you can say, we're civilized. We don't have
that's
to go
true.
in there.
Yeah.
We don't, really. Do we really want to go in there and kill everybody? No, that's not what we want.
No, nobody
What
said
we
that.
want is we want them to abide by the Constitution of the United States. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
But what are they saying in Brazil? What they say in Brazil? Where they, I don't know that it seems like other countries don't have any problem whatsoever. And I don't want to compare us to any third world countries necessarily, but it's looking that way. Those other countries, they don't give a crap. We're doing it. I don't think you could stand in a room full of so-called men and find, and out of 200, I don't think you could find 2 that would actually take that step. But anyway, it's a good conversation.
And that brings us back to right where we are.
Yeah. Free speech. The essence of free speech. The U.S. Supreme Court has obviously had several cases over the decades talking about the limitations on free speech, particularly the criminalization. So, I mean, and there's one case, and like I said, they're looking at this a couple different ways. But in 1969 case, it's the Brandenburg versus Ohio. Supreme Court followed a twofold rule when dealing with speech. The case determined that in order to be considered criminal, speech must be intended to incite or produce imminent lawless action, and the speech must also be likely to do so. And that is a two-edged sword, because that precedent, if you go with this January 6th committee assumption that there actually was insightful speech and it was likely to cause a riot or whatever, then that precedent is in play. But on the same hand, if you can prove that he didn't, that precedent from 1969 is works the opposite way. So it's kind of weird.
Now, did you hear words from what's his name on this?
The Dersh?
The Dersh, yeah.
I did, and I also we have
not that it necessarily matters, because that's a Supreme Court thing. They could stretch this thing out over the next 2 years and even, convict him in a DC court and destroy his, I'm assuming it would destroy his chances, because he'd probably be off ballots and stuff like that.
Actually, there was a president, I don't know if we brought this up before, there was a president who actually ran his campaign from inside the jail, because they tried this once before back in the 1800s, I believe. I wish I had that in front of me. I think we did it on another show.
Okay. Was that in the U.S.? I remember the story, but yeah. Okay.
It was in the U.S. And in fact, I don't remember if the guy won, but yes. So this is another thing historically. We're talking about people who are supposed to be brilliant. I don't understand why they don't know this, because none of this can legally keep Trump from running for office. He could literally be incarcerated with pending charges and still run his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
What about state by state? Do they have to put him on the ballot?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, well.
Now, that being said, there was plenty of cases with the local, the last midterms where people were omitted or late or whatever. So, they're going to break the law and cheat.
So that's what I was going to say. Yeah. What if 30 states break the law and force Trump to take it to the freaking Supreme Court?
Right.
You understand? It's lawfare.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Which they don't think that they wouldn't do that,
Oh, yeah. That's and this has nothing to do with the American people, obviously, because if anybody in Congress or D.C. or the area cared about the people that they're supposed to represent, number one, we would have term limits in Congress. Number two, we wouldn't have broken Chad counts. We wouldn't know who the president was for 2 months. Number three, if you were elected into office, you would take that office the very next day. You wouldn't wait 3 months.
Right.
And the list goes on and on and on. But we live in. Anybody here? You guys have seen Rollerball in 1978 with James Caan?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. That's what this is. Everything is corporation. The FBI is a corporation. The government's a corporation, and we're just here waiting for the Soylent Green. That's it.
Yeah. As
But
a matter of fact, I think the government is a corporation.
yeah, and
I've
it
heard
hires
that argument from since the Civil War.
it hires plenty of robots. But the committee investigating January 6th may have referred, we all know this, the charges of Donald Trump to the Department of Justice for potential prosecution, but it's unconstitutional for members of Congress. This is the part that we kind of glazed over, the separation of powers thing. That little thing, the thing you learned when you were in sixth grade, when you were drawing, the maps of the United States. Blah blah blah. Where'd I go? It's unconstitutional for members of Congress to recommend prosecution for anybody, making the committee's determination a worthless piece of paper, and that's according to Dershowitz, or Dersh, as I know him. Him and I are like this. Congress has no power to recommend prosecution. There's a provision in the Constitution against bills of attainder. Those were parliamentary indictments of unpopular people by name, and the framers of the Constitution put only two provisions in the actual Constitution before the Bill of Rights: no ex post facto laws and no bills of attainder. So
this is basically nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We think this guy did some bad shit, Merrick.
Yeah. So Merrick is getting the referral, knowing, and again, I say knowing, these people are lawyers, these are professionals, right? Knowing that it's unconstitutional for that transaction. So,
and not caring.
Right, not caring, which is again a breach of his oath, which is could be that's an instant termination. Obviously it would be impeachment, but but we were talking about the fact that nobody gives a crap about anything that has to do with the law when it comes to politicians. So they're in your face. They have half the country. Well, I'll call it half. We all know it's not. It's probably 30%.
Right, but
for electoral votes, let's call it half.
For ease of conversation.
Yeah. Half the country convinced that this was a legal proceeding. They have most of the country convinced that they can actually do this. They have another half of the country thinking that, there's, Merrick Garland has to follow through with this. And at the same time, Jack Smith is an appointed special counsel who's already responsible for this.
Yeah.
So
that's where I think it goes, is that Garland will pawn it off on the special counsel's office, and I don't know what that guy's going to do, but he ain't going to come up and say, no, Trump's not guilty here. That ain't going to happen.
Well, yeah, and on its face, it should be dismissed. It shouldn't even. This should actually, Merrick Garland should actually publicly denounce what's going on. Of course, he's more of a stuffed shirt than Biden is, but that's, if he was following the law, he would say, in fact, this is, thank you for your time, but this is not, this isn't a legal avenue that I can pursue.
Let me remind you guys that our intelligence community coincident in stride with our media and the DOJ and the FBI just a few months ago claimed that Trump stole nuclear fucking codes and was selling them on the fucking world market.
Yeah, which
so
was
if
a
you
lie.
think there is no fucking no depths to which these fucking serpents wouldn't fucking crawl, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it. To sum up, as far as I'm going to get into this article on Dersh, he says, this is him quoting, "Look, I'm an anti-Trump Democrat." Okay, whatever. I don't understand this anti stuff, but whatever. That's what he said. I'm an anti-Trump Democrat. I'm going to vote for his opponent in the next election, which is about the dumbest thing anybody can say just because they don't like somebody, as I did twice before. But I put civil liberties in the Constitution before I put politics and partisanship. And Liz Cheney doesn't do that. She switched allegiance, and she puts them before any constitutional right, which is a fact. Now, do I agree with Dersh's statement? I can't stand when people say, I'm anti this, I'm anti that. That that gives you no credibility. Explain what your problem is. I do appreciate the fact that no matter what, this guy Dershowitz stays within the Constitution. But I read that because there's always going to be somebody out there that says, "Oh yeah, you cherry picked. You cherry picked." Well, let me tell you something. If I was going to cherry pick, it wouldn't be from freaking Alan Dershowitz.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I do give him some respect because he's got to have taken a real beating um, for speaking constitutionally over the past 5 years, when all the sycophants and psychopaths want is red meat.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
He did admit he was I saw him in an interview, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, that he was de-invited. He was off a lot of guest lists. He suddenly had no invitations to these big galas he was normally going to.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Mike, I'd like to talk to the guy and say, knowing that you were ostracized from your own group, these are reputable people, because you took the side of the Constitution over a person. That's the biggest red pill you could feed to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. I was just thinking that because, who cares what what his political belief is, whether he's a Democrat, Republican. Obviously, he claims to be a Democrat.
Right.
But he's following the Constitution to the letter of the law, to how it's supposed to be. That is pretty much, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's all we really care about. If you just follow our Constitution, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
No.
Right. The problem is there are very few who do that anymore. And we all know this, being gun guys, right off the bat.
Yeah.
We know
one of the biggest infringements right there.
The Constitution. I mean, look at the border. People getting amnesty and DACA and all this bullshit. That's anti-constitution. There is just so much or Constitution ignoring shenanigans going on. You can't really. That's like a quaint thing, believing in the Constitution.
Well, actually, that's how they believe. They think it's a walk down memory lane.
Yeah, but I mean, and there are, granted, there are occasionally victories like we had with Roe v. Wade and the limited 2A thing, but that's just a little bit of pablum for our side.
Well, yeah, this is
toss them a bone.
We're at the crossroads of where money bumps into the love of money. Because if you want to break it all down to the most simplest terms, this is all about money. The one commodity that you can't take with, not there amongst others, one commodity that you think you can, but you can't take with you. So
right.
Let's listen to little Dershowitz here in his own voice. This is a minute. It's pretty interesting, and this was off of Salcedo's show, I think it was. But so it just cuts right into him starting.
Yes, but it's even worse than that. The referral by a congressional committee vote to the Justice Department violates 3 provisions of the Constitution. Number 1, Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress only the power to legislate, not the power to prosecute or to refer cases to the Justice Department. Second, there's a specific prohibition against bills of attainder. Bills of attainder were British votes taken by Parliament to name specific individuals and to prosecute them. And there's only one exception to this, and that is the 14th Amendment, which gives Congress the power to enforce the prohibition against anybody holding office who engaged in insurrection of the kind that took place during the Civil War. The action by this congressional committee is in clear violation both of the letter and spirit of the Constitution. And not only should the Justice Department ignore the referral, it should rebuke the committee for interfering with the separation of powers in our system of checks and balances.
So I'll admit he said that slightly more eloquent than myself, but he that was kind of a reframe from his article.
Yeah, well, Harvard Law will do that to you. It gives you a silver tongue.
Yeah, old school Harvard Law. I'm not convinced the new Harvard Law what does, but in any
case. New Harvard Law doesn't have any. they let morons in right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
they don't go by your intelligence anymore. They go by the color of your skin. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
using his own argument, if Merrick Garland does not rebuke
Yeah.
these articles from this committee, then we know that the Constitution is meaningless, effectively.
Number one, it's either meaningless or Garland literally doesn't know. And if he doesn't know, he's meaningless. So, but the result ends up being the same.
He was up for freaking Supreme Court. You would think he ought to know.
Isn't that funny?
Whoa. You would think. Okay.
Yeah. You would think. These guys are, like I said, these are lawyers.
Then again, look at Katongi Django Bango that we
Oh,
got
that's
in there
right.
now.
Yeah. She is probably the most successful affirmative action hire in the country at the moment.
Pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Really pathetic.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, Dershowitz wrapped it up in his own words, and I didn't have him literally saying it. So now somebody can listen to this and say, "Oh, just because you said Dershowitz says he was an anti-Trumper doesn't mean he's an anti-Trumper." But this, well, you know what? You're gonna have to glean something from his freaking quote. The fact of the matter is, this whole thing is unconstitutional, and you think I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole damn trial's out of order.
I'm just getting started.
20 years ago. But anyway, so yeah, there you have it. Take it for what it's worth. I suspect we're going to hear something from that coot, regardless of legal or not. He's going to feel like he's pressured because that's all he does. Garland doesn't. I don't think he has much of a spine. In fact, he could be father to Adam Kinzinger.
Oh.
You know, there's something to think about there.
Yeah.
There's both.
Well, we don't want to talk
feckless.
about Garland's son. He's one of these guys. He's got a company supplying CRT and other crap to.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Remember that?
that's right. Yeah. They're making millions.
That's why Garland went after the parents who were objecting to that.
Yeah.
At least that's a reasonable supposition.
Well, I mean, there's something we call logic and common sense.
Yeah.
And when you use the two of those hand in hand, amazing thoughts are produced.
Yes.
You know?
The pictures come into clear focus.
Yeah. I prefer to I don't know, and I'm saying this metaphorically, and I don't mean to be inciting anything, but I'd like to see one of the big buildings, useless buildings, like maybe part of the Pentagon, knocked down and a big Coliseum put up, a big Roman structure Coliseum put up, and go back to the days of Caligula, and then see what happens.
And do like jousting and feats of strength.
Oh yeah, and then we can hire or fire our senators with the rule of thumb, as it were.
Yes, there we go.
You know, so
I'm for that.
yeah.
I don't want to be knocked.
You got my attention.
I don't know if I want to be knocking down any buildings, but we've got like sports stadiums which would work, you know.
Well, yeah, they're pretty useless. as we illustrated by doing our sports piece last week on the World Cup. And by the way, Paul, who won that?
By the way, much respect to Lionel Messi. Glad that he finally got his World Cup. And I gotta say, I just want to throw this out there. I noticed Emmanuel Macron was there.
He was
in Qatar.
Yep.
And the very white coaches on the French team.
Yep.
Were not. I noticed that many of the southern France players had dreadlocks and little wool tufts and knobby shit in their hair, and I was very disappointed in
and
Macron
here he goes.
Not having his hair done up like the
cultural appropriation.
Well, no, I mean they're the real French now, right?
Yeah.
The team guys, you know.
Elon Musk was there.
Elon Musk, Jared was there, which I did not care for.
Yep. Either that was a Photoshop or they were both standing together. And that was a big, look at the Jewish guy with the freaking South African guy. Oh, they're,
Yeah, and the freaking Wahhabis like
Yeah.
2 feet away, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that was me with the white hat on with the braided thing around my head. Yeah,
I don't know whether they're Sunnis or Shiites or whatever, but
I'm not that. I'm not that
it's
privy to that religion. But interesting. It was an interesting game. It was fun. It went too long, but yeah, Messi got his 35 years old. He finally got his first.
I don't know what those things are called, but I bet you I'd look good in one of them white suits, man.
I think they're called dresses.
They look comfortable.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's like a kilt. I don't want to ask the guy if he's got anything on under it, But anyway,
what was the score?
It was a tie, 3-3, and then what was it?
I think it was like
3-2.
Yeah, on the
penalty kicks.
On the penalty kicks. Yeah, and
also in props to the kid for getting that final penalty kick that put it over.
Yeah.
What was his name? La Maria or something? I forget his name.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to play, and that guy was an asset. Yeah, he was great in that game. I'm not a big fan of the goal kicks, but when you have a playoff like this, when it's not an aggregate playoff, like if it's a championship like this, that's what they do. They don't do the golden goal. I'd rather see a golden goal. First goal wins after the overtime. But anyway, pretty cool.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So I saw Formula One did their Secret Santa this week. I guess they're gearing
there was
up.
Somebody missing.
Really?
Yes. Who do you suppose would not deign to get involved?
To go to a Christmas party? Joe, you have to know this. You're the resident F1 expert.
Louis Hamilton.
Yeah. He was.
Did you hear that?
He was celebrating not so secret Kwanzaa.
Yeah,
whatever.
Where everybody gets together and bangs their freaking 13th cousin.
Nobody gives a crap if Hamilton's there or not. Now it looks like Andretti is pretty much almost a shoo-in now for the 11th team.
Really?
Yeah,
they're bringing an American team back.
Yeah, looks like Andretti's going to get it. Is going to get in. Not 100% right now, but they're really damn close right
now. Which Andretti are they pushing out now?
Mario, Michael and Mario.
Oh, the grandson.
Yeah.
Well, it's Michael's team, but it's his father.
It's not going to be an Andretti driving. I would assume.
Gotcha. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, but they're fighting, man. They don't want him in.
No,
they don't want him. They don't want an American because I'll tell you what, Andretti is, if he gets into F1, he'll have a team in, I think, every motorsport that's available.
Yeah.
And you know what? And they've got the ingenuity. They've got the backing. They've got the knowledge. They're going to put a car out there that's going to be aggressive and it's going to be competitive.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't want.
And this is why I like motorsports, because Joe just came to life.
Well, and being Dr. Doom and Gloom, let me just throw a little cold water on
or throw a little wrench in there.
Yeah. I'll just say 2 words, tech inspector. Let me tell you, the Andretti team ain't going to get away with shit from the tech inspector the way, Ferrari or Red Bull or whatever will. So don't get your hopes too high there, mister.
You just a killjoy, that's you're just a buzzkill. But we're not going to see Andretti this season. Obviously, we might see him next season.
Yeah,
it's a good hype though. It's a good hype. We need an American team in there.
We got Haas is American team.
But don't forget. This is why the Americans aren't in there anymore, because Americans are freaking crass and they're a bunch of freaking rednecks when it comes to motorsports. It's like soccer and football. You got the NASCAR fellas that they want to, they want to throw bottles on the freaking track, and then they're like F1. We don't do no F1,
Well, right now we're gonna have, you got Miami, Las Vegas,
Texas,
Dallas, and Montreal, which is pretty close to the United States.
They're not going to let them do 4. And you think?
Well, they're already doing Vegas, Dallas, and I mean, I think the second race of the season is in Miami.
Holy crap! I might be able to go to that one. Yeah. Plus, there's Mexico, so they could do a whole northern hemisphere.
I tell you, I'm going to tell you that what really pisses me off. There's Miami sold out. All the races next year are sold out. Every damn one of them. You go and try and buy tickets right for Miami, and you have to buy them secondary market.
Yeah.
And the tickets are 10 times what the face value is. You won't be able to find a seat for less than $500.
I'll see if I can hook up with some of my Cubano compadres down there.
Well, you know what? You do that because I really could use two. I want 2 seats for me and Tom.
I'll send you pictures.
And we're going to Canada, and it's going to cost us. It's going to cost.
Oh yeah, that's right, Joe. Yeah, I gotta go. Oh, we're going to Canada. You don't have the right friends. My friend has a GT40 in his hangar. Yeah, great.
Yeah, right.
And you make me feel bad because I don't have any friends.
Yeah, poor Joe. You know.
I know. I told Joe once before, never feel sorry for a guy that has to complain about his own airplane.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. I went over my buddy's hangar, and there, in between his 2 airplanes, he had a GT40 covered up in bubble wrap.
Oh man, unbelievable!
Cool car, man.
Yeah,
God bless him, man. I don't begrudge him at all. Let him go.
Oh, I bet. So anyway,
and we're not talking about him.
Yeah, we're squeezing balls here. You know. Anyway, we're going to close by doing a couple of verses of "O Come All Ye Faithful." Want to start us? You want to start us off?
Is that what we're doing?
No, but we're going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we're going to put out a Christmas release short. It's going to be a narrative version of the Nativity. And then we will come back. We're going to take a short break, actually, and come back after the first. And meanwhile, everybody, just hit us up on your favorite podcast site. We're at 10mmm.org on YouTube and Rumble. And reach out and let us know what you think. Your support is welcome, warranted, and needed.
That's right. And remember, Jesus is the reason for the season.
Absolutely.
Say his name, the King, and try and forget about life for a while and enjoy time with your family and pay particular attention to the kids, because they get all excited with the presents and all that. And have a great time. And I will be back with the doom and gloom after the new year.
Yes. And meanwhile, we're going to unwind and forget about politics for a while.
Sounds good.
Merry Christmas, all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.